Sure to be fun for the entire family, but as News Channel 5's Heather Thompson tells us, tonight's event will do more for Nashville than just provide entertainment. Right, Heather?
Absolutely, Vicki, especially for the Latin community here in Nashville that continues to grow. Many who come here struggle with a language barrier and just have a very tough time adjusting to a new way of life. Tonight's game is going to help many of those immigrants here in Nashville make a smoother transition. And helping them, Renata Soto. She runs a nonprofit organization called Conexion Americas. It helps Hispanic families integrate into the community in many different areas, be it helping families register a child for school who don't speak English or helping them buy a house.
For us, it really symbolizes one recognition of the numbers of Latino families that have settled in this area to the point that has attracted the attention of people to organize this event at the Coliseum.
And we've been watching a steady flow of cars come into the Coliseum tonight. The first 6,000 cars get free parking. You're allowed in at 6 o'clock. Their festivities are going to kick off. They'll have a skydiver jumping off of the scoreboard. There's going to be fireworks. And of course, at 7 o'clock, the big kickoff. So fun for the entire family. Reporting live from the Coliseum, Heather Thompson, News Channel 5.
Right. Thanks very much, Heather. And it is a one.
Heather?
That's right. We've seen fans from Mexico, fans from Nashville, high school students, and just anybody who really wants to see a great game tonight when LA's Galaxies take on Mexico's Tecos. Believe it or not, it's a game that's turning out to give Mexico the home team advantage.
Okay, Atletica is in a store in Mexico.
Carlos Moncayo remembers how exciting it was to go to professional soccer games.
Favorite player is Eduardo. Loco Abreu.
But those memories are just that,
Yes.
Memories.
When I find out about Tecos is coming, I said, oh my God, I'm gonna get ready. It may be the first and only time in Nashville, so I'm gonna wear my hat.
Tecos, an elite Mexican team, is from Guadalajara,
I'm gonna wear it this year.
the same town Carlos grew up in.
And why not? It gives me a taste of home, and also it makes me forget all the things, problems, and all I know that I'm going to enjoy it tonight. My Sarape from Guadalajara.
Carlos is not alone. 60% of Nashville's Mexican community
I'm ready.
are also from the same area.
Let's get ready to go in a group of 20, 30 and paint our faces and get the uniforms and get the t-shirts. I'm ready.
Soccer walking out there?
While Carlos and thousands of others are ready for this match,
Alrighty, they'll be here, yeah.
others are excited for what this means to Nashville's Latin community.
The biggest thing ever. It's the biggest game.
It is important symbolically as a recognition of the presence of families for whom soccer is not just a sport, but it's very much part of our culture.
Renata Soto runs Conexion Americas.
How to enroll a child in school.
It helps Latin families settle into Nashville.
I didn't have an idea of how big the Hispanic community was here, so this is a really nice thing.
A portion of the proceeds will help her organization reach other Latinos in need.
So it's good to connect with the Hispanic community here.
And what a great opportunity for the Hispanic community to come out here tonight. A morale booster for Latins and for soccer fans, but not such a great morale booster if you are fighting traffic in the area. We want to give you a heads up on what to avoid. Avoid the Woodland Street Bridge. It has been restricted to one lane. And fans arriving from the North Gate are using the James Robertson Parkway exit off of 24. So if you know anybody who usually travels in this area, you may want to give them a buzz on their cell phone and give them a heads up. Reporting live from the Coliseum, Heather Thompson, News Channel 5.
Heather, any idea how big the crowd will be tonight?
We have seen so many buses filled with high school students, so many vans filled with many people from the Latin community, and sport utilities filled with just so many kids. So really, we are not sure. The first 6,000 cars get in free. They do get free parking. They're expecting about 20,000, but that could be a very low number.
Heather Thompson reporting from the Coliseum. Thanks, Heather.
Now, who ride the school bus. News Channel 5's Heather Thompson has learned one of the problems has to do with keeping tabs on drivers' records.
We require a driver who gets a ticket or a citation, even away from work, to let us know immediately. because we're going to know sooner or later anyway.
But according to a recent audit, metro schools may not be getting the information fast enough.
That's appalling.
Information that could keep unsafe drivers from getting behind the wheel.
We know the students are already wild as it is when they're on the bus, and so then we have someone who doesn't have a good driving record put along with the students. That's not a good pair to put together.
The audit also found odometers on some school buses may be getting rolled back.
If the odometer reading is not correct, then that means that the service that bus needs, it's going to get it much later than it should get it.
Service that's necessary to keep the buses safe. This is a copy of the audit right here. The results also in today's paper and on the Tennessee news wires. It appears everyone knows about the problem, except Metro Nashville schools.
This is the first we've heard about it. And as of 10 minutes ago, our transportation department hadn't been contacted by the state about it.
Metro Nashville schools run about 500 buses daily. At least one of the buses in question from Davidson County.
We haven't had any official communication from the state yet that I'm aware of, but certainly we're going to be finding out what the issue is, and if there is a problem, correct it right away.
And some of the findings are already being corrected. For example, the state has changed the way it documents school bus inspections and has hired an additional worker to help with the backlog of traffic violations. Those violations should now be posted within 2 weeks. As for some of the other findings, I put several calls into the Department of Safety today. None of my calls have been returned.
So still a lot of unanswered questions, Heather.
A lot of unanswered questions, and here in Metro Atlanta, the school system says that it's going to look into any of those problems, and should they pose any safety violations or concerns, they'll be on it right away.
All right, thanks very much, Heather.
Potentially deadly discovery.
Yeah, I'm concerned.
Tommy Dorsett gets his drinking water from this well. The water's not treated, nor has it been tested by the county.
If it hadn't infected us now, it probably won't.
Harry Jernigan disagrees. He knows firsthand how dangerous contaminated well water can be. Years ago, his children got sick from drinking it.
They got a hepatitis or something, and our doctor thought it was from the well water. Didn't know how else they got it.
But water experts in Coffee County do know what's contaminating the water today. 151 private wells were tested here in Coffee County. 21% of those wells tested positive for E. coli.
It's particularly deadly for small children and elderly people.
Another 68% of the wells tested positive for a less dangerous strain of the bacteria. Water experts recommend several options. Switch to city water.
It's pretty expensive. It's something like $1,500 for a tap fee.
Or a less costly alternative. Treat the water with an ultraviolet sterilizing system like this one.
It's a very simple device. It's very effective. It's almost 100%. We've never actually had one not function.
Now, Heather, it was noted that it costs $1,500 to tap in the city water. How much do these ultraviolet systems cost?
They're about $400 at any plumbing store. However, you can get them for a little less, $1 at Duck River Utility. They are selling them for less than cost.
Oh, really?
However, if you want to go an even cheaper alternative, you can chlorinate the water. However, that requires you to be very consistent and make sure that you check your water weekly.
Okay, thanks, Heather. Vicki?
If you did.
Officials spoke to News Channel 5's Heather Thompson today and claimed the complaint is unfounded. Heather?
That's what the hospital says. Officials there believe someone is trying to hurt the hospital's reputation. The state wouldn't tell me what the caller's complaint was, and the hospital doesn't have specifics either. But Maury Regional believes someone has his or her own agenda against the hospital. Medical Director Charles Ball believes the caller told the Department of Health that the hospital has high levels of complications in the cardiovascular unit. You may recall Maury Regional only started performing cardiac surgeries in January. Dr. Ball says the complaint is unfounded and believes someone is out to harm the hospital's reputation. State inspectors spent several days investigating the alleged allegations.
We don't know who the source is, but we think it's more of an agenda than it is a quality care issue, and I want to say that emphatically.
And last week, the hospital shut down all elective cardiac surgeries and brought in an independent cardiology group to review procedures. Dr. Ball says the review was self-imposed, what he calls a peer review, and had absolutely nothing to do with the complaint to the state. Amy?
All right, Heather Thompson reporting on Murray Regional Hospital. Thanks, Heather.
Thousands has her pulse on the final touches before the gun goes off.
It takes months of preparation to get a race of this magnitude from start to finish.
It's beautiful. Today we're just in our final preparations here, getting everything ready, and we're in great shape. I mean, we can almost have the race today, but the runners won't be here yet.
In its 5th year, the Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon is expected to be bigger than ever, with 30% more runners than last year.
We came from the convention center where I picked up the packet and just wanted to know where everything was so that tomorrow morning it's not a rush.
Former Tennessee resident Greg Smith and his family traveled from Macon, Georgia for the race.
I just want to have a good time and I want to be able to finish it and not pass out somewhere along the way.
Crossing the finish line may be easier. Marathon coordinators changed the course.
We've eliminated the hill, the mile-long hill on Monbrian Street, and also a long hill on Woodland Street at what was mile 20.
A course that's bringing out more runners than ever. 16,000 runners are expected to pound the pavement tomorrow. But the first 800 to cross the finish line won't be elite runners. They'll be Nashville elementary students.
I've just been running, working at school with my friends.
For months, students have banked miles. Tomorrow, they'll run their last.
I think that'll be really cool, just finishing before some of the better people.
But for everyone else, they'll need to put a full 26 behind them. And to do so, they need their numbers, chips, and a little luck.
And runners can park their cars at the finish line at the Coliseum tomorrow morning and take the shuttle to the start at Centennial Park between 4 and 6 a.m. Vicki?
So, Heather, how will the families find their runner after the race is over?
Good question, especially if it's raining. There's going to be poles with letters, numbers on them, so families can coordinate with each other. Hey, meet me at pole A at such and such time, and nobody will have a problem finding their loved one after the race.
Sounds like a good idea. Thanks a lot, Heather. And now the race begins bright
and taps into the potentially deadly discovery.
Oh, yeah, I'm concerned.
Tommy Dorsett gets his drinking water from this well. The water's not treated, nor has it been tested by the county.
If it hadn't infected us now, it probably won't.
Harry Jernigan disagrees. He knows firsthand how dangerous contaminated well water can be. Years ago, his children got sick from drinking it.
They got a hepatitis or something, and our doctor thought it was from the well water. Didn't know how else they got it.
But water experts in Coffee County do know what's contaminating the water today.
151 private wells were tested here in Coffee County. 21% of those wells tested positive for E. coli.
Particularly deadly for small children and elderly people.
Another 68% of the wells tested positive for a less dangerous strain of the bacteria. Water experts recommend several options. Switch to city water.
It's pretty expensive. It's something like $1,500 for a tap fee.
Or a less costly alternative. Treat the water with an ultraviolet sterilizing system like this one.
It's a very simple device. It's very effective. It's almost 100%. We've never actually had one not function.
Now, Heather, it was noted that it costs $1,500 to tap in the city water. How much do these ultraviolet systems cost?
They're about $400 at any plumbing store. However, you can get them for a little less, $1 at Duck River Utility. They are selling them for less than cost.
Oh, really?
However, if you want to go an even cheaper alternative, you can chlorinate the water. However, that requires you to be very consistent and make sure that you check your water weekly.
Okay, thanks, Heather. Vicki? As Heather Thompson is live where the River Stages 2004 is gearing up for tomorrow night.
That's right, Chris. We're talking about really rocking down here. 3 full days jam-packed with over 60 powerhouse performers. Some of those bands will take the stage tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, and they'll continue until 11:30 Sunday night. Some of the acts you can expect to see Friday night: Wycliffe Jean on the Hardy Star stage at 8 o'clock, Fuel 8:20, and the headlining act of the night, the Foo Fighters. They come on right after Fuel, also on the Best Buy stage. Saturday night, you can see Patty Griffin at 7:30, John Kay and Steppenwolf at 8 o'clock, and at 9:30, the headlining act of the night, right on the riverfront, Styx. On Sunday night, Nashville's own JoJo Herman from Widespread Panic, he takes the stage at 5:30 with his band, JoJo and his Mojo Mardi Gras Band. I'm just going to have to say that again. I love that name. JoJo and his Mojo Mardi Gras Band. Little Feat performs at 7 o'clock, and the big act of the night, 8:30, The Strokes. Now, tickets are $45 for a 3-day pass, or you can buy single day passes for $25, Chris. And you can go to our website, www.newschannel5.com, to get those tickets.
Now, any roads are going to be closed that we ought to be aware of this weekend?
Yes, this entire area is going to be pretty congested, so we want to show you what those streets are. Also, downtown around Broadway between 1st and 2nd Avenue, you're going to want to avoid Broadway between 1st and 2nd Avenue, 1st Avenue between DeMombrian and Church, and at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, 3rd Avenue South between DeMombrian and Shelby. That will be reduced to 1 lane. And also, Chris, just coming in, we have learned that 2nd Avenue South between DeMombrian and Broadway, that will also be closed. So this area is going to be extremely congested, especially in the afternoon, heading toward rush hour on a Friday night. It could be pretty bad, so you probably want to avoid this area.
Good advice. Thanks for the report. News Channel 5's Heather Thompson went to Fort Campbell today, where many question whether that mission has really been accomplished.
Soldiers from the 101st Airborne at Fort Campbell are home, but thousands of U.S. troops remain in Iraq, and thousands more could soon be going.
It's not done over there. Ain't nothing done over there. They're just gonna keep killing.
I think the mission is still going on right now, probably still going on for a long time to come.
A mission President Bush declared a done deal 1 year ago today.
Major combat operations in Iraq have ended.
Yet soldiers continue to lose their lives. In fact, April was the deadliest month for U.S. soldiers since the start of the war.
Combat deaths are 5 times higher now than this time last year, a reality that makes some question whether President Bush spoke too soon.
I guess he figured the major combat was over, as with the war in Iraq, but we're still facing terrorism every day.
Terror Tiffany Calhoun has seen. Her husband lost both legs when a rocket-propelled grenade struck his Humvee in Mosul.
I think we have a long ways to go right now, but we've accomplished a lot of what we wanted to.
Critics say not enough.
I don't think there's anyone in this room today or 6,000 miles away who doesn't wish that those words had been true.
But that depends on who you ask.
The military mission was accomplished. We've still got the security and stabilization operations that are still ongoing.
I think we did a lot of good. I mean, we caught Saddam.
Heather Thompson, News Channel 5.
News Channel 5's Heather Thompson went to Livingston to talk to Savage's mother about her sacrifice to the war in Iraq.
As a child, Jeremiah Savage knew what he wanted to be when he grew up.
From the time he was little, whenever he wanted a toy, it was a G.I. Joe, it was a tank, it was a gun. I mean, that was just what he wanted.
3 years ago, he joined the Marines. Eva Savage says her son was honored to be serving his country in Iraq.
I asked him, I said, "So, are you ready to come home yet?" And he said, "No, Mama, I have a job to do."
Eva talked with her son often. On Monday, they spent 6 hours chatting online. It would be their last conversation.
I was about to go to bed. I'm getting tired, so I'll talk to you again tomorrow if the net's not down.
But tomorrow never came. 21-year-old Lance Corporal Jeremiah Edward Savage was killed in Fallujah yesterday during hostile gunfire.
My worst nightmare came true.
Around 7:30 Wednesday night, Eva glanced out the kitchen window. She saw a van pull up and 3 Marines in dress blues get out. It was at that moment she knew.
I felt my heart go to my feet. A part of me died.
But a part of Jeremiah's spirit lives on through his children.
He was honor bound.
Honor that ended up costing this young Marine his life. a debt his mother says he proudly paid.
You know, my son is in a better place, but there's still Marines over there, and they will remain in my prayers until the day everyone is back home.
Heather Thompson, News Channel 5.
Major delays. News Channel 5's Heather Thompson helps steer you through.
I do a hoo-ah just to relieve the stress.
Better than the bleeps, bleeps, and bleeps that will more than likely roll off drivers' tongues this weekend.
But you're going to need to watch out. We will have some serious delays. The people we're most worried about are folks going out to the airport or people coming in from town that haven't heard all of our warnings this week.
2 areas drivers will want to avoid. I-40 near Spence Lane. The interstate will be completely closed at the 2440 interchange beginning tomorrow morning. TDOT will be blasting as part of the road widening project. And the eastbound ramp to Murfreesboro Pike, closed.
I live over there. I have to drive through that, coming to work every day and going home every day. And it is definitely awful.
Also in East Nashville, avoid the Silliman-Evans Bridge between Shelby Street and the I-40 split downtown. Beginning at 7 o'clock tonight, all westbound lanes will shut down through Monday.
That's the bridge kind of near the Gerst House that connects I-24 and I-40 with downtown Nashville. It's a big commuter link to downtown Nashville, which is why we're doing this on the weekend.
A weekend that's drawing a crowd into Nashville.
In Franklin, we hope it's only golf clubs that are swinging and not fists of frustration. Traffic tie-ups are expected here around the mall due to the LPGA.
An event drivers say is reason to delay these road projects.
A little bit more coordination would be more helpful if they could coordinate it away from events and coordinate the major outages of the highway system away from each other.
TDOT says knocking these 2 biggies out this weekend will be painful for drivers, but it's pay me now or pay me later.
We're shutting down one whole side of it on the weekend so that the guys can work around the clock under lights and get as much as they can fixed quickly over one weekend so that we don't have people stuck in delays all summer long.
All right, and traffic on I-40 East and the ramp from I-24 to I-40 East, you're going to want to use Briley Parkway. That's going to be an alternate route that many people are using this weekend. Now, if you're heading to the airport, leave early. You also can use Harding Place or Murfreesboro Road to get you there. And to help you also find your way around town this weekend, because it is going to be a nasty one, you can log on to our website, newschannel5.com, and click on Sites in the News. Amy?
All right, Heather, I don't want to see you get any more wet than you are.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're a real trooper.
You know what we'll do for our viewers.
Yes, I know you will. Thanks, Heather. Take care. Thank you very much.
And as News Channel 5's Heather Thompson reports, 2 women have said they're his birth mother.
Giving birth should be one of the happiest moments in a woman's life. But instead of crying tears of joy, Tandalyn Hickman is crying tears of regret.
Get out of her way.
This woman says she's the real Tandalyn Hickman, but so did this woman. One gave birth. Columbia police say the other is Sherry Rutledge, but no one's sure who the baby's real birth mother is.
I can tell you the child will remain in our custody.
According to police, on May 14th, a pregnant woman who said her name was Tandalyn Hickman checked into Murray Regional Hospital.
A healthy baby boy was born, but days later, in Murray's postpartum unit, nurses determined the woman they were treating wasn't the same Tandalyn Hickman who gave birth just days before.
In juvenile court this morning, a judge ruled that 5-day-old James Hall Hickman will not go home with either woman. Instead, he'll stay in foster care.
We can't prove who the actual mother is at this point in time, so we don't know who we would be giving the baby to.
Regardless of what DNA proves, the baby may not get to go home with either woman. Both could face several charges.
Well, at the time, it was basically almost abandonment in the hospital because we don't know who the parents were, and different people were changing, so.
And the women could also face insurance fraud charges. Authorities believe they may have switched places so TennCare would pay for prenatal and delivery costs. A grand jury will hear evidence to determine if they're indicted.
So when will the grand jury convene?
Well, in Maury County, the grand jury meets 5 days per month. The next session is scheduled for June 4th through the 11th. Now, whether the DA fits that case into its schedule
has yet to be determined.
It's a bizarre story.
It's very bizarre. And the baby, 5 days old, in foster care. The judge gave the parties involved 30 days to get attorneys, get those DNA blood tests, and the judge was very flexible with the families involved. He said, if you can get those tests done before the 30 days, I'll see you back here sooner. So get those tests done.
All right. Thanks very much, Heather.
Chris.
DHS workers